Howdy everyone, this is Locknuts, and you're watching a map tour of Fichtelberg. Hopefully, you'll stick around to see what happens. Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are you guys doing today? Oh my goodness, we get to look at Fichtelberg. Now, Fichtelberg was modded by Spezi 2.0 Modding and Desperados 93. I apologize right now if I mispronounced any of that stuff. It is for PC and console, and it has a download size of approximately 336 megabytes. Now, this map is pretty darn good. It kind of resembles the Alpine. Well, I think it takes place in the Alpine. But before we go ahead and look at anything we got going on here, I did start this gameplay, or I should say, I did start this off in new farmer mode so we can see what you would all start with if you started in new farmer mode. But for starters, I am going to read what you're going to find in Mod Hub. It says, "Welcome to Fichtelberg. All FS19 functions included. Mergeable fields, forestry, traffic and pedestrians, mobile train, cows, pigs, sheep, and chickens, some new buildings, meadows, purchasable fields, field missions, European style, 91 hectares of arable land, 53 fields, 17 meadows, and seasons ready." And also there was a quick change log that I will read from real quick here. Farm is now saleable, farm is now placeable, precision farming ready, added points of sale for milk and eggs, field unevenness adjusted, meadows adapted, egg trigger in chickens now is visible. And if you want to do anything with this, if you want to get the new update date, you have to have a new save. Now, the map has not been out all that long, but it's just a change they made within the first week or so, just to kind of iron out some of the bugs. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look what you are going to start off with in new farmer mode. That's not right. Let's go like this, go into the garage, and you're going to start off with New Holland and a Fent. It's a pretty good combo you got right there. You have the Rossliff mash harvester. This is something that I bought for us to drive around in, so you do not start off with this guy here. You have one trailer, you have a grain header, you have a plow, you have yourself a seeder? Cultivator, sorry. There's the seeder, and then a planter as well. So you have the options of either or. You have a fertilizer spreader. It does not spread manure, just fertilizer. You have a manure spreader, 2 mower heads. You have a tedder. You have a windrower. You have another wagon. This is a forage wagon, so you can pick up all your forage bits and pieces. You have a silage mixer. You have the Aquatrans water, does it do milk? No, just water, mover. You have yourself a front loader, 2 different heads, or buckets, and bale handler. And then you have the chicken coop, large grain silo shed, and then the miscellaneous bits and pieces that you actually find on the map. So that's where we're at with all of that stuff. Now let's take a look at the map. There we go. And this is the map. It's kind of neat how there's a continuous road that kind of goes around the entire thing, and then a road right here. Now, I have never been to Germany, but from all the stuff that I've heard, this is kind of how a lot of stuff is set up, where there's like a road that goes around bits and pieces of a bit of areas of land. So this kind of makes sense for this being more of a German style map, European style map. Now what you're going to start off with is you're going to start off with the main farm. I just wanted to see what that was. The main farm. And this little section up here. Oh, this is all one section. Okay, my bad. That's all one section there. And you start off with fields 16 and 18. And let me tell you what, guys, we're going to take a look at this. Field 16, probably one of the flattest fields on the map. Oh my gosh, I took a look around here earlier. She's pretty hilly. We'll go ahead and take a look at a lot of that stuff. So on this map right here, there is the large exterior, which you can go ahead and buy. All the rivers, valleys, hills, all of these different places you can buy for a cool $10.8 million. So you gotta have a little bit of change to go ahead and get that. Now, as for forestry, you can kind of see these little individual bits and pieces right here. You can go ahead and buy all these little bits and pieces. I'll talk about this area here in just 1 minute. But you do, oh, that's back to that again. So the prices do range with even the forestry stuff. I mean, that's pretty cheap for a chunk of forestry right there. So you do have that you can go ahead and play around with. And other than the exterior of the map, you kind of take a look around. Price is 309. I think that's the biggest field. Yeah, that looks like that's the biggest field that there is right now, and that's $339,000. Yeah, that is the highest priced one, and you have a varying price all the way down to, I don't know if that's the absolute smallest. No, that's not it. The smallest chunk of land. Yeah, I mean, this is probably it right there at $23,000. So there is quite the variety of field prices, land prices. Now, with that being said, there is a BGA on this map. I gotta find it really quick here. Right here. And to go ahead and buy the BGA, you need to, or get BGA prices, you need to go ahead and buy the BGA, which 87,000, that's not terrible for a BGA. We'll go ahead and purchase that right now. Yes, so we can go ahead and take a look at the prices. Now, on this map, you have all the standard items. I'm sorry, I was drawing a blank. You have all the standard items on map. There's no modded crops, no modded anything. So if you want anything like that, it has to be something you take care of yourself. But this map does not come with any of that stuff. Okay, so what does the BGA do for us here? It looks like the BGA just does the silage, grass, hay, manure, and slurry. And if you will notice, the BGA prices are not always the best prices. So that's kind of interesting. Normally you see on maps that the BGA has the highest prices. That's not necessarily the case right here. So that's pretty cool. But the only way, unless you use mods, the only way to go ahead and sell manure or silage is through the, or not manure or slurry, I apologize, is through the BGA. So those are your options for that. And as you can see, there are several different locations that you can go ahead and sell. Just from my drive around the map, some areas are much easier to get to than others, so that may be something you want to factor in when you're driving around and deciding, well, do I go ahead and sell this and risk dumping my load, or get a little worse price, but it's just down the street. I mean, it's kind of a neat little thing they, I don't know if it was intentionally added into the map, but that's kind of how it is. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead, we're going to take a little loop-de-loo around here. Let's see, I think we'll go ahead and drive. Yeah, we'll come over here. There's the store right here. We'll hit this. There are 2 other farm locations I want a quick hit on before we leave this thing off. So we'll kind of head around this way, drive around here. Probably make our way up through these fields before we end up in this area. And then at that point, we'll fly up into the air like Mary Poppins or a kite, whatever you want to say, and we'll take a nice aerial view. So that's kind of the plan moving forward. But first, let's go over here like this. Now that area is kind of in the center of the map. it is a forestry area where there are several different locations that you can go ahead and buy. And if we head over this way, this is that forestry area. As you can see by that little hill right there and that little hill right here, essentially what you would be buying is sections of a hill, sections of a mountainous area. I have driven a vehicle back through here. It is very, very bumpy and quite unpleasant. Essentially, if you can imagine an old bumpy goat path going up into the hills and then coming back down on the other side, that's pretty much what this looks like. So when or if you decide to do forestry in the center area, your best bet is not necessarily to get larger equipment, because it probably is going to be very hard to navigate. But I guess that's going to be part of the challenge, because you do need something powerful enough to get up those hills. Lands over here. You are going to need something powerful enough to get up those hills and still be able to manage getting your logs out. So that's going to be pretty darn interesting if anybody wants to jump into that. We'll take a quick little tour around the main farm here. One thing that you're going to see is that there is lots and lots of storage on this farm. I believe, yep, it has functioning lights. That's pretty neat. Huh, that's pretty cool. It does have functioning lights. Your silo is on the back side over here. So that's where you go ahead and dump that stuff off. And let's see here. Okay, right there is where you get it out. Right there is where you get it out. So that's kind of convenient that it's all pretty close to one another. There's some more storage right here. Now, this is kind of a unique thing. This is something I see a lot where I'm from, where you have farms, and this is all storage in here. Those are not bunker silos or anything like that. That might not be a bad place if you're storing bales or something like that. It's kind of nice and divided right for you. What I was getting at is that where I'm from, you see a lot of farms where the road has been built right in between it, and that's kind of what's going on right here, is where you have a farm, a big enough farm. Oh, they wanted to bring a road through here, so they bring it right on through there. You do have a bunker silo right in here, so that's kind of nice. And then this is where you have your cows. So you got that going for you at the main farm. I'm going to go like, well, not that. That's not what I want. I'm sorry. There you go. I just like having that little map on down in the corner so you guys can kind of see where I'm at, what's going on. And like I said, this field 16, this is probably the flattest chunk of land on the entire map. Oh my goodness, guys. It is a very, very hilly, very alpine-esque map. It's pretty intense. There is a sleep trigger. Let's go like this. Pretty much anytime you get close to the house, you trigger the sleep trigger. Let's see, can you... Okay, no, you can't get in there. So it's kind of around the perimeter of the house. Yep, still going over here, so you can still trigger it. Let's take a look over here. Now these are kind of, I don't know, I like these doors. They're kind of neat. They move pretty fast, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about it getting in your way. And they do open from both ends. And I don't think it opens in the middle, but it will open from both ends. So you do have that. There are some doorless storage facilities around here, which is pretty nice, depending on what you like. I personally like to have a lot of stuff where I can kind of pull into, not necessarily needing to close the doors. I'm not a big door closer type of person on this game. I actually have some gameplay that I've been doing where I just don't open doors because they get in the way. So as you guys can see, in this farm here, there is just yard space all over the place to store whatever you really want to do. So at this point, we're going to hop in. We're going to drive around, turn that off. I'm going to leave the map on up in the corner so you guys can kind of see where it is that we're going. No, I want to go the other way. And as you can see right here, That is a pretty steep grade right there. That's kind of going to be the main theme as we drive around here, is that the landscape is actually pretty spectacular. Even this field at first glance looks pretty level until you look over here and you see that you have quite the dip over here. It does say in the changelog that they did smooth out, or I should say they did adjust the unevenness of the field. I can't imagine how bumpy and contorted the land was prior. I mean, holy cats. Now, I think this is going to be one unique challenge for people, because not all the fields are really big. Some of the fields are kind of small. But even though those fields are kind of small, you still need to be able to have enough power to physically drive your harvester. Oh, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. You physically need to be able to drive the harvester up the hills. So this here is the sell point and buy point, the shop, sorry. And where vehicles spawn is they end up spawning right out here, kind of where this pickup truck is. Like I said, I purchased this thing just so I could go ahead and drive around. That field 41 on the other side is actually a pretty level field. It gets a little hilly back off in this area right there. And I actually have auto drive installed, so that's why you can see me using the mouse. I talk with my hands a lot instead of going like this. I'll click on this and go like this. So at this point, we're going to go ahead. We will end up, after everything is all said and done, up over there is where we'll end up being. But let's hop back on the main road. Let's drive around. Let's see what's going on this map. Now, this map does have some pretty neat features to it. I'd say that one of the coolest features is the fact that even though you look at the map and all the maps are, or I should say, all the edges are nice and straight and even, they're really not. There are actually some pretty unique shapes to the fields. Like this one right here. That is pretty darn intense. You either only can harvest driving downhill on that, or you need a really big, powerful harvester. So I think, now depending on how you decide you want to do your gameplay, I would strongly suggest looking at getting an incredibly powerful harvester. I mean, look at that. Look at that. You hop out. Let's say this truck is 5 feet off the ground. You got to figure, from where I'm standing at to where the top of that hill is, there's probably at least a 15-20 foot rise in the land. I mean, that's pretty intense. You're going to have some pretty beefy vehicles. So let's come over here. This is one of the farm locations that is not the main farm. This is going to be the pig farm that is set up and ready to go. As you can see, there's not as much storage on this area right here, but, you know, it's okay. I mean, you're doing pigs. That's kind of the trade-off, I would say. All right, yeah, just checking, looking in here. It's just a standard, well, not standard. This is kind of custom pig stall that you got there. But you don't have, like, all the vast this, that, and the other thing out here. For all of your animals. There isn't a silo over here. So, well, maybe that is a silo. I don't think so, though. It probably isn't a silo. So, obviously, if you go ahead on this area over here, you'd probably end up having to add silos or other miscellaneous things that you want. But, you know, ultimately, it's not that bad of a deal if you are planning on picking this location because of its location. And the price of this guy right here is only $75,000. Now compare that to the main farm, which is $255,000. This is definitely a much cheaper and more reasonable option, and it comes with this grass field right out here. So you can either choose to keep that, mow it, do what you want, or make that yard for either like I was saying before, like a silo or whatever things you feel like you need to add onto the map. So we're going to keep on going around here, taking a peek at this. you know, eventually we'll get to a point where, oh, and I want to point this out, there is no collision on those hedges. So that's pretty darn neat that that is a feature. It's bad enough that you're going to be running around trying to find enough power in your vehicles. Just 3 more extra horsepower to get the thing up a hill. Oh, man. I'm going to blow this map up here for just 1 second. This I wanted to stop by this place just because of the name. The name of this place is Get Rid of... Oh, shoot. How did it say it? Get rid of cuff. Get rid of her cuff. Yeah, something like that. That's pretty neat. I like the name of that place. That was the main reason why I wanted to come over this way and just poke our nose around here. And then we keep on going, and you do see that, again, hills. Hills. You need powerful equipment for this place. You definitely need powerful equipment. Heading back that way kind of goes around the other side of the forestry area. Now, this forestry area that we're looking at right here off to the left-hand side, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to smash into anything. This forestry area is probably the flattest of the bunch. I think price-wise, it's decent. I think it might be a little bit more expensive than the other places. There are really no trails going through it, unlike the other area, which is full of trails. But the land is relatively flat compared to that, as I'm driving down a steeper hill. So you can definitely tell that there's stuff going on here. And this, oh my gosh, this field, it just drops right off. It really does just drop right off. And then once you get closer to town, the flatter fields come into play. So if those exterior fields are getting you down, making you feel blue, definitely look at some of the stuff closer to town. Before we go into town, we're going to take a look at this last farm location. It doesn't even really... I don't even know if you'd want to call it a farm. I kind of like the location because it doesn't necessarily have that standard, here's a grain silo, here's this, here's that. It's more of machine shed areas. But with that being said, on this particular area, there is a lot of storage. So I don't know if you'd want to look at potentially buying the other farms and then using this to kind of store vehicles on the other side of the map so you aren't constantly having to drive harvesters back and forth. Now, if you're looking at getting multiple harvesters to go ahead and do that, you're going to have to take out a pretty penny. But at that point, you could potentially use semis or something like that to drive vehicles back and forth. And inside this guy right there, there is a workbench for you to be able to go ahead and make repairs. So this is, without having a silo, without being kind of a typical farm, I would kind of throw this area into the farm type location, or a location where you could call it a farm location. Now we'll head back into town. We're going to end up looping around and kind of going across that river that you see down in the corner of the map. But let's make the corner here. There we go. Now, one of the things I like to look at... Oh, man, look at that landscaping, guys. Look at that. That is just an awesome view. Huh. Super, super cool. One of the things I like to do is I like to drive through the towns. Not necessarily just to check out the sell points that are there, but I really like looking at the scenery and seeing what the map makers go to add into their towns. I think the towns tell you a lot about the map makers and what they're about. Like this map right here, you have all these little bits and pieces, the details that were done. I don't know if that's a ball of yarn or spaghetti. I don't know. But I do know that they definitely took a lot of time, a lot of detail in making this. Okay, it's the Golden Yarn Spinnery. So it was neither. It was a ball of yarn. Oh, let's get in here like this. Okay, and then there's your sell point right there. I mean, it's neat. It's neat when they go ahead and like make these little details. It's unnecessary because you're not farming in town. You're farming out of town. Yeah, we'll go this way. It's kind of like a little outside tour around this. Yeah, as we keep on heading out of town, as you can see, you run into some more of these forestry areas, and this kind of where we're at right now. You have this field on the right here. This is a viable field, but everything around it is part of that 10 point, I don't know, whatever $1 million land that is. Which, to be honest with you guys, if you had the cash, if you had the ability to go ahead and take out all of that money to buy the land, you probably very, very easily can make that money back with, don't want to say relative ease, because we all know logging does take a lot of effort, but it would be able to be made back. Now, once you start getting up into this, I'm going to bring the map up just a little bit here. Once you get up into this northeast corner here, you do run into a lot of areas where roads are crossing underneath, and it's kind of weird to get from point A to point B. You have a main road here, and then you have like all these back roads that are all around here. So you might be driving, trying to get someplace, and oh, there goes the road that you needed to be on. You just drove underneath it. Oh, man. So let's come over this way here just a little bit, and then we'll backtrack here. So you come on down over here, and over on this side is... Oh, I think that's one of the mills. Shoot, I'm just getting a bad view here. We'll hop out. On the other side of the road, there is one of the mills. As you can see right there, you have a nice little gorge in between. On the other side, there's a little bit of a field. But I want to come over here and drive along these fields, the edge of these fields here, and just take a peek at these. Because you take a look at fields 8 and 9, which are coming up to, and these are small fields, but for being as small as fields are, they are pretty darn intense with your elevation changes. Now, I know, yes, I'm driving through the fields, but I really want to kind of give you guys a look at what's going on here. I mean, there's elevation changes. It's the only way to put it. It's kind of intense. That's for darn sure. All right, let's head back up and around this way. Man, I mean, you take a look at this here, and this is just, look at that hill. Would you look at that field over there? Field 13 on the other side of the hill. Holy cats. I mean, how are you going to do that? We'll go over there and we'll take a look at that. This is kind of one of those areas where I was telling you that, yeah, the way to get up there and do the things, you got to go all around this way, that way, the other thing. Or you could just have a good set of mud tires and get up there like this. Oh, man, I really want to go look at this field 13 really quick here. And then I'd like to take we'll hit that sheep area right over here when we do our little flyby. But I think this field right here, this field 13, is this map in a nutshell. Now, I'm going to go in cab here, okay, guys? I'm going to go in cab. Just so you can get a really good feel of what's going on here. Would you look at that? This is... And the map was fixed. The map was fixed for all these locations. Would you look at that? That's got to be close to a 45-degree angle going uphill. Oh my gosh. Oh, so I guess by driving over here and taking a look at this and showing you this, you really, before you go ahead and accept any contracts on this map, you really should do a little bit of homework and see what the field actually is, what it looks like. Otherwise, you could be accepting a contract that would be absolutely miserable for you. So that's one thing you definitely want to look at what you're doing on this map, is definitely look at the contracts. Maybe even go out to the fields just to see what the heck they are. Because otherwise you could be opening up a can of worms that you don't want to be opening. Oh, man, but this is kind of why I wanted to come up here, because you're up here on top of the valley, and it is pretty darn cool. It is a great, great view. Now, with that being said, we are up here at the top of the hills, on the top of the map. You have this field 50 here. That is a nice flat field. You have field 32. That's a nice flat field. You have 14. Not so much, but it's not bad. And then you have this field 33. Again, it's up on the top of the hill. It's a big field. But other than that one larger lump in the middle there, it's not terrible. So there are some flat fields on this map. They're not all over the place. They're not just aplenty. You have to look for them. So this up here is the animal buying and selling point. Now, for me, what I normally like to do is I like to do like a cost analysis to see if it's worth it to either lease equipment, buy equipment, to drive and actually pick up animals, get rid of animals, this, that, or the other thing. Just the effort to get up here, I don't think I will be buying any animals directly from here. I think I will probably be having them delivered. Oh man, so at this point, guys, we're going to get ourselves into Mary Poppins mode. Going into the good old easy development, or as we all like to call it, the F11 mod. And let's fly. I'm going to turn the speed multiplier on so we can move like a shooting star. Or which button? Oh, there we go. I got it. So guys, oh man. See, this is what I was talking about. Yes, all straight edges on all of these fields. No weird stuff, no this, that, or the other thing, but just a jagged, unique field. I think it's a nice compromise, I would say. So as we go ahead, flying over these fields, I would definitely have to say this looks like it is going to be a very, very fun map to play on. Oh my goodness. There's the BGA right down there. It's actually a fairly sizable. Let's go ahead and take a peek at this. It's actually kind of neat to see power lines coming with it, because that's essentially the thought process behind the BGA. It takes biodegradable organic materials, breaks them down, releases the gases. The gases, they burn to generate electricity so that you can go ahead and turn your lights on. And as you can see at the BGA, there are some pretty darn sizable bunker silos over here. So you have that for making your silage. Oh, wrong direction. Let's take her back up. And I think this is a good view right here where you can see what's going on. This area out in front of us where that hill is, that's that area where you can go ahead and buy all those forestry areas. You have that lump in the center. I mean, holy cow, guys. If you can imagine a blanket or a sheet or something like that, that you just go ahead and, like, if you remember as a kid or even as an adult, you take a sheet or a blanket and you throw it underneath, or throw it over the top of your kid, or as a kid you put it over the top of you and you're hiding, and people pretend like, oh, I can't see you, I can't see you. This is exactly what that looks like. Look at this. There are lumps and bumps all over the place. You're not fooling anybody. This is not a flat map. This is not a flat map at all. Guys, if you're going to play on this map, you definitely need to have some powerful equipment. You might want to look at going big right off the bat. Maybe not. Maybe lease some stuff. I don't know, but you definitely need power for this. Yes, there are some relatively flat fields on the map, but there are also a lot of bumpy ones. That is for darn sure. Oh, I can't wait to play on this map. I'm actually going to be starting to play on this map very soon, and I can't wait for it. Guys, I highly recommend this map. This looks absolutely phenomenal. Remember, it is seasons ready. It is precision ready. So if that's your cup of tea, go ahead, give it a shot. Definitely leave this one a good review. Don't believe me? Download it for yourselves. Guys, have fun on this map. Most importantly, I want to say thanks for stopping by.